Yes, everyone, I am uploading a new video. I'm sorry it's been a minute. Let's jump right in. Hey everyone, what's going on? Back with a new video. I apologize for having a small hiatus. Again, been really busy lately, and again, I just haven't had time to upload videos as much as I would like to. So thank you for all who has been subscribing still and actually staying subscribed. I really appreciate it. Today, I'm actually very excited because we are going to start talking about none other than Stephen King's Magnum Opus of his series, and that is the Dark Tower series, which you can notice it's right up here. Now, you notice that probably a couple books are missing because one, we are talking about the first book in the installment, and then the second one I actually just started reading that is back in my office. But today we are diving in and talking about book number 1 in the Dark Tower series, The Gunslinger. The Gunslinger sets off and introduces us to Roland Deschain. He is our main guy. He is the main gunslinger, one of the only gunslingers that is left, and we are going to dive in talking about multiple characters. Now, book 1 is really not like the best book, but again, it is a much needed book that you must read if you are obviously getting into the Dark Tower series. So let's jump right on in. And like I mentioned, Roland is our main character. So Roland starts off on his journey to get, obviously, before we even talk about the Dark Tower itself, he gets on trying to figure out where he is and obviously who he's meeting along the way. He's following a man who is known as the Man in Black, and we will get to him a little bit later. Again, I never have spoilers on my channel, but again, Roland lives in an alternate time frame, kind of like a parallel universe. And so in this universe, lots of things happen, but lots of things that are not normal to our lives in this world is really different for him. And you're going to notice a little bit later, if you actually read the books, you're going to find out the characters kind of interact with each other in different ways. And that's what I really love about King's characters, especially if they really hit it off and actually connect from the beginning to the end. Roland's first stop is actually to a man named Farmer Brown, and no, I'm not making that up. His name is Brown, and he is a farmer. So he is stopped by this. He talks to Farmer Brown. Actually is a flashback when he is talking to Farmer Brown about Roland's experiences in the town called Tull, T-U-L-L. And with this flashback, it is kind of a needed flashback. In a way, with these flashbacks, again, along the whole Dark Tower series, because this is my second read of the Dark Tower and Stephen King books, the kind of flashbacks are kind of needed, but then they're also kind of not needed. So I guess it's just like a hit or miss with you. While Roland is in Tull, it's a very kind of like small town, kind of like if you think of the saloons and all that Wild West kind of type vibes. That is Tull. He walks in and he talks to and he meets a bartender named Allie. He gets very acquainted with her, very close. And then I can't tell you too much details of the town of Tull because you have to read it yourself. But when things start to turn for the worse, Roland actually has to get out of Tull. He does things that he never really wants to do, but again, when things don't start going his way, he actually has to protect himself and get out of the town of Tull. So lots of details, lots of juicy stuff that happens in that flashback. And then after the flashback, it kind of takes a good portion of the book, but not the whole thing. So after he talks to Farmer Brown about the flashback, Roland's mule actually dies on Brown's farm. So he actually is walking from now on. As Roland continues to walk, he actually gets to a way station where we meet one of our main characters along the rest of the Dark Tower series, and his name is Jake. So Jake is also from an alternate universe that is not the same from Roland. So again, we meet two characters that are from different universes. But when Roland meets Jake, Jake doesn't really remember much about his past or his universe. So what Roland actually has to do is he kind of has to hypnotize him. And as he's hypnotizing him, he's trying to find out more about Jake, more about his past, more about where he comes from. And that way it kind of can remind him and help Jake kind of figure out who he is and what he's doing there in that alternate universe with Roland. So as you could probably guess, Roland and Jake, they are traveling together after they get to know each other, kind of figure out who Jake is. Roland isn't really opening it up to Jake so much. He is telling stories and stuff, but he's kind of conservative and doesn't want to give everything away because again, he really doesn't know Jake. Not saying he doesn't trust him fully, but again, he still has to get used to him while they're on the travel to find the Dark Man. And speaking of the Dark Man is actually Roland's main objective, not only to get to the Dark Tower, who is this figure, kind of like this, not like a wizard, but just kind of like this guy. This is a fantasy Western book. So again, there's a lot of fantasy and a lot of Western themes going throughout the story. And with the Man in Black, this is obviously our main antagonist, and we are going to see him throughout the whole journey. Once we talk about all the books throughout the series, we are going to come back to this guy, the Man in Black. But again, he really isn't kind of talked about much in this, except when we get to the end of the book, which I do not want to spoil it. Roland actually kind of meets with the Man in Black briefly because Jake and Roland go their own ways, and actually you're going to read more about it, kind of figure out why they have been separated. But when they've been separated separated. Roland runs into the Dark Man, finally catches up to him, and you think, well, if he caught up to him, wouldn't you think that would be the end? Not really, because again, he hasn't made it to the tower yet, and also, even though he's run into the Dark Man, a lot of weird things start to happen. The Dark Man is really full of black magic, dark magic, and he's a very, very bad man. Very, very bad man, as you can probably tell that from a Seinfeld reference. So for those who love Seinfeld, you kind of get that.
There are no people!
You know, I think I'll just take the check.
You bad man! You very, very bad man!
Roland is kind of having this one-to-one talk with the Dark Man, but after they converse back and forth, Roland actually kind of falls asleep, whether it's from the Dark Man or if he just falls asleep by himself. I'll let you figure out when you read the book. Fade to black, not in a way that he's sleeping, but later on he's like looking out at the sunset, looking kind of like out to the distance. He doesn't see the tower, but again, obviously you can tell from the book the tower's in the background. But the Gunslinger is starting us off on the Dark Tower series journey. Again, this book really isn't my favorite out of the series. I love more of the other books. This is an essential book you have to read in the Dark Tower series. It is only like just over 200, 300 pages if I'm mistaken. I can't remember. Yeah, it's like 250 pages, so it is not a long read at all. I give the Gunslinger 3 stars. Again, like I mentioned, this isn't my favorite one. It is an important introduction to the Dark Tower series, which I love. I do love getting to know Roland and Jake, because those are two of the main characters on the series, and once we get through obviously the other books, we are going to get into the other characters of it. But again, this is just the main one. There's not really a lot going on. The flashbacks meets kind of these few main characters, Jake being one of them, the Dark Man. We get introduced to him as well, and obviously the main focus of Roland is finding the Dark Man, chasing him down, and going to this tower. All right, everyone, that is it. Again, I apologize for not uploading this sooner. I really wanted to upload this. I finished this like a week ago or so. I am reading book 2, which is The Drawing of the Three. I really love that book, and again, I can't wait to finish that and continue to upload the Dark Tower series. I'm very happy I've gotten to this part. Now, I am doing the Dark Tower series uploads one after the other, and I know they didn't come out chronological like that, but since all the Dark Tower series books are out, I'm going to be doing the uploads with the whole series as a whole, and I don't want to like go on a hiatus, read the other parts of King, and then come back to the Dark Tower series. That's not really what I wanted to do, because the first time I read the Dark Tower series, I actually, again, went through the whole books as a whole in order, and that is what I'm doing, starting with obviously the Gunslinger and with the rest that are on the top shelf of my Stephen King shelf. So stay tuned for all the Dark Tower series books and the book reviews, and I can't wait to talk more about it. Again, everyone, I thank you so much for supporting my channel, even though I haven't been uploading much, like I've been saying, like a broken record. I love and appreciate all the help that you all have given me to get to 1,030 subscribers or 39 subscribers, whatever that is. And again, keep following me, keep obviously spreading the word of my channel. If you've not checked out both my books, My Next Door Obsession and My Obsessive Nightmare, check out the links below. All the stuff you need to know is on my Instagram, and if you need to know, the links are in the description below, so feel free to check those out. I'm very excited to have finally upload this, and again, to start the Dark Tower journey. And like I always say, my friends, please read your book cover to cover. We'll see y'all later.